Thanks for joining us here at Cold Fiction. We've got a bunch of stuff actually to talk about today. We're going to do a retrospective on Michael Madsen, the great Michael Madsen. Rest in peace, sir. You're going to be missed. Just found out, however, that also Julian McMahon passed away, and it would be impolite to not give him a mention as well. I feel like and I think Joe, maybe you said this. I feel like he never really hit his stride. Like he never got as big as he could have been.
Yeah, yeah.
He's always done a good job. I thought I liked him in Nip Tuck. I liked him in The Residence, which is the newest thing that he's done. He was probably the best part of the Fantastic Four, the original Fantastic Four franchise as Doctor Doom. I don't know. Do you want to say something about him real quick?
I mean, it's for Nip Tuck, I feel like he carried the show for the most
Right.
part. His character was just, especially his character development throughout that. I watched the entire thing
Right.
from start to finish when it was first on, and his character just being a complete asshole in the beginning was enjoyable, but he had a lot of character development and a good arc. And I enjoyed everything about him on that show to the point where his counterpart on the show was definitely overshadowed by his character. Uh,
Right.
but all around, Nip Tuck was an enjoyable show. If you watched it, the wife was also really good in that show. Famke Johansson showed up for a little bit and did a great job. It was an enjoyable series. But yeah, man, that really bums me out that I don't know if it was necessarily the cancer that stopped him from hitting his stride or personal choices and what scripts he took or what, but I enjoyed his work, and I it just kind of bums me out that he never really hit that stardom that I kind of felt
Right.
he could have had.
Right. I
I
think
never
like
did watch Nip Tuck. Maybe that's like,
it was an interesting show, and Joe's right. He was a really complicated character. But he's got chops. Like if you watch Red, which is a great movie, he plays the sleazy VP, right? And does a great job as like a sleazy politician. I mean, and that's kind of like a microcosm of his careers. Like he always thought he did a really good job in the roles that he did, but he just never really hit the big time. And
Yeah.
I wish that he had, because I think he had a lot more to offer. But that said, we're going to talk now about Michael Madsen, who also just passed. This is a very sad week. Um, Most people probably are gonna connect him as Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs. I mean, that was his real breakout role, I think.
Free Willy, bro.
Yeah, he was in Free
well,
Willy, if that's for sure. But yeah,
he
Mr.
played the
Blonde.
whale. A lot of people don't know that.
If you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, you probably shouldn't be watching this podcast or
Right.
talking about movies or watching movies other than Reservoir Dogs. It was a phenomenal movie, and he played one of the greatest villains of all time. But he had another role that not a lot of people know about. Alex probably does. He played a character in a game series called Dishonored. He played a guy named Dowd, who was the Knife of Dunwall. He was a villain, almost like an anti-hero villain in that game series, which is a really popular game series, and voiced him perfectly. He was great. And he's done a bunch of stuff. I mean, he was in Sin City. He was in, but I'm always going to think of him as Mr. Blonde, right? That's just the way I'm always
Of
going to think
course.
of him.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
What about you,
Probably the
Alex?
most impactful role.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize he was in that game. My son plays that game or has played that game. I'm sure.
Yeah, he plays
My
Dowd. So your son would probably recognize him. What about you, Alex? What did you what
I
do you
mean,
think?
yeah, I mean, first time I noticed him was Mr. Blonde, obviously, and it's just like one of those things that you remember forever,
Right.
his role on Mr. Blonde. He did some other stuff that I thought his role actually in Kill Bill as Bud
Yeah.
was really, I mean, honestly, at that year, I thought he could have gotten like a Best Supporting Actor nomination for his role as Bud in Kill Bill. I
Yeah.
mean, his performance in that movie was that good. And so he had a lot of ups and downs as far as the quality of the stuff that he was in. Obviously, I always
Yeah.
thought it really underrated movies. But yeah, we can all name at least one. Yeah.
Who could forget the great Piranha Condo?
I remember I always thought of a really underrated movie he was in was The Getaway with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, yeah, that was a great flick.
Yeah, and he was good. He was really good in that. So he always had a presence, and he was really, really recognizable and unmistakable. And I actually going through his list of movies when I heard that he died, and I was like, wow, he did that. The whole movie I never even know he did. One of his first movies that by a director named John Dahl, who did a lot of good stuff there, like he did Red Rock West with Nicolas Cage. What else did he do? Did that movie? I forget the name of it. Overdrive or whatever it was, with a 20 years back, the guy doing a car being chased by the guy driving a semi truck.
The Duel.
Joyride.
Oh, Joyride. Yeah.
He directed that movie. He directed some other stuff, but I guess one of his first movies was with Michael Madsen called "Kill Me Again," and I haven't seen it. I'm like, I haven't seen it. And I looked at the reviews and everybody and said this is a really good crime drama, and I'm like, wow,
that's interesting.
This weekend.
Right, I remember hearing about that movie, and I never did see it, but yeah, I heard that it was really good.
With Val Kilmer,
something like
right?
I want to say 88, 89, so it's pretty old. And he's
Val Kilmer, who is also dead.
Yeah, Val Kilmer. Man, we've been losing great people. Eric, what do you got to say about the great Michael Madsen?
I'm kind of surprised no one mentioned Species.
Yeah.
That was good.
You know what?
Well, but the thing is
I think the first one was good. I thought the first one was good.
Yeah, the first one was good, and then that's I think what more people probably saw him in Species than saw him in Reservoir Dogs at the time, which is kind of a shame,
Right.
But which is kind of speaks to Hollywood and what they back and everything. I think more people now have seen Reservoir Dogs and stuff like that.
Right.
But Species was a relatively big hit when it came out. I would say like 1996, 97, something like that.
Ish.
It was huge for that year. I remember it being really big that year.
Yeah, it was really big. And
it was
so
1995, FYI.
95, yeah. I would say that's one of the biggest movies he's been in, with the exception, as far as box office wise, So I certainly remember him mainly from Species and Reservoir Dogs.
Right.
That's where I get him the most from.
Bueller, what would you like to say about Mr. Michael Madsen?
Well, what I think is crazy about Michael Madsen is that you've seen him in movies you don't remember seeing him in.
Right.
If you look at his filmography, it's like I'm looking at it right now, going,
"Oh yeah,
I know I've seen that."
Yeah,
he was in Die Another Day. What?
Yeah, but like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I watched it fairly recently, and I just I know I saw him. I just don't remember where I saw him. You know what I mean? For me, his probably his best work is both Free Willy and Free Willy 2. Can't deny that. But realistically, obviously he's Reservoir Dogs.
Right.
But the other two that really stand out to me when somebody says Michael Madsen, if they were like, what do you think about Michael Madsen? You can't say Reservoir Dogs. The two I'm going to pick are Hateful Eight. And by the way, that's broken up into a miniseries on Netflix, and it's like an extended cut. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend it. Damn, I just had it on the tip of my tongue, and now I got to look again. Sin City.
Yeah.
He had a brief spot in Sin City, and I'm not going to say that's his best work because it's not, but he still stands out in my head for his part in that.
He pops up in movies like according to IMDb, he's been in 300 movies and shows, right?
And that's what I'm looking at here too. He was even in probably one of Charlie Sheen's.
No, Eric Roberts, with the rookie numbers. You got to get those numbers up.
He was also in a really underrated Charlie Sheen movie called Beyond the Law.
Okay. All right.
If you haven't seen that, it's actually...
I remember that. Yeah, that was I saw that on VHS, back in
I remember it too.
90, whatever.
It was actually good for when it came out. I mean, you might suck now. I haven't seen it in 30 years, but it was 1993 actually, so it's been longer than that.
I remember liking it when I saw it.
Right.
Yeah. I remember hearing a lot of people liked it. But yeah, Michael Madsen's a shame, dude. But unfortunately, it's also part of
he just popped up in movie. Like you would catch it. He's like a stocking stuffer, Like he would just show up in a movie and you'd be like happily surprised. You'd be like, oh yeah, Michael Madsen. All right, cool.
I have never in my life been upset Michael Madsen showed up in a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And something that always stuck with me too, and I had to look it up earlier today, so I already know the answer. But you know, people go into Hollywood, and if somebody already has their name, they have to use a different name. Right?
Yeah.
You can't be billed if you have somebody else's name. It just doesn't work. So I always wondered if there was some kind of billing issue with Mads Mikkelsen and Michael Madsen. Like, did Michael Madsen have the name first? So Mads Mikkelsen just changed his name to Mads Mikkelsen? Turns out that's not the case. But I always wondered that. But yeah, that's not the case. Mads Mikkelsen's like Norwegian, and his name loosely translates to Mads Mikkelsen. But yeah, so there you have it, man. That's what
Mads Mikkelsen is also a baller.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting too to think about what almost happened, you know, because he was almost going to be Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, you know, and it was like, and then that didn't happen. But then Quentin Tarantino for a while wanted to make a movie with the Vega brothers, where it'd be like Vincent Vega and Mr. Blonde would be brothers, and it's just like, but it just never amounted to anything, just didn't happen. So it's just like, wonder that would have two things that could have been really cool, but you know, who knows? It's fun to think about.
Eric, what have you got to say about Mr. Madsen?
Oh, I already went.
Oh, did you already go?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so long, Michael. We barely knew you with your 300 movies and shows.
Your 300.
Barely spent any time with him.
Continue to enjoy your performances. So real quick, also, I wanted to throw this out there. We want to talk about the Running Man trailer. And then we're going to do a quick round of what you watching, because we've all got a show that we've been checking out that nobody else has seen. So, but real quick, around the table on Running Man, I'll start it off. I watched the trailer and I can't figure out if it is going to be more like the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of Running Man or more like the actual Stephen King novella of Running Man, because they were so different, right? But it looks like this is trying to kind of
50-50 split.
Yeah, it's like trying to split the difference, right? It's like trying to be the campy kind of hokey action flick of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but also it's got the realism and the structure of Stephen King's story. Either way, I like Glenn Powell a lot, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm in. And this is a movie I would actually go to the theater to see, because I feel like it's going to be really kinetic. It's going to have a lot of energy. What about you, Alex? I know you've read the novella, and certainly have watched the Arnold Schwarzenegger version. You think it's
I mean, I had the exact same reaction you did, where I'm like, because I initially heard about it and I thought, okay, I think they're going to do pretty much a straight adaptation of the
right?
story.
They're going to do a serious version. Oh wait, no.
And then I was like, well, but it seemed. So then I'd watch, oh, so it's a remake of the Schwarzenegger version. And then I could recognize a couple of little scenes that are straight from the novella. I'm like, okay. And it has that sort of, you know, dark kind of dystopian version that it's like, okay, yeah. So I don't know what happened exactly, but, you know, I like Edgar Wright. And like you said, I like Glenn Powell. So it's like, I'm in, you know, either way. But it's, I do think we'll probably split the difference a little. But I wonder if, and that's purely conjecture, you wanted to do an adaptation of the novella, but the studio wants it to be more like the Schwarzenegger version because it's kind of more recognizable, and that's what people know more than the story. So kind of splitting the difference between the two. But I'm just, you know, guessing.
How big, Eric would know this, how big was Running Man when it came out? Was it like a really popular movie?
Yeah. I mean, that was like, you know,
that was the heyday, Arnold Schwarzenegger's heyday.
That was Schwarzenegger at the height of his powers. You're talking Running Man, Commando, Predator,
right?
Red Heat. This was, you know, hey, dude, Red Heat's fucking a good movie.
I wanted to go back and watch Red Heat, and there's another one.
Raw Deal.
When he infiltrates the
Raw Deal. Raw Deal is not good. Raw Deal is not good.
What's the one he did with? Wait, Jim Belushi was the one.
That's Red Heat.
Red Heat, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That one's good. And then of course,
how come Raw Deal doesn't hold up as well as Red Heat?
It's just extra cheesy, and like the acting is pretty poor overall. You could tell like he's obviously the star, but there's not much else going on around him. You know,
Yeah.
where at least with Red Heat, there's Belushi and like their captain is an actor that you'd recognize, and the villain you'd recognize. Just with Raw Deal, it was like
No production values.
yeah, production value. Like if you watched them back to back, it would be completely different production value.
Right. Right. So they might be kind of catering to us essentially, to like the nostalgia effort or effect of Running Man. But I really would like to see a more authentic adaptation of the novella because it was such a fascinating story. What about you, Bueller? What is your take on the Running Man trailer, if anything?
Well, I'm with Alex. Edgar Wright, man, sign me up. I like what he does. I enjoy his flicks. Um, Glenn Powell is Hollywood's bargain action star right now.
Right.
I think he's great at what he does. Um,
He
you
looks
know,
like Party Boy
he kind of
a little
does.
bit.
Kind of
Looks a
does.
little bit like Party Boy from
Jackass.
Jackass. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have a lot of high hopes for Twisters, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. He did
Right.
a
It was
great
too,
job in
yeah.
that. And he also was in some assassin movie. I think might have even been called Assassin or something. I don't know. But that was a Netflix movie. He was really good in that. He's there. I remember when Jeremy was hitting his stride, Jeremy Renner was hitting his stride. There was an article in one of the entertainment magazines that called him Hollywood's biggest bargain action star. And I feel
Mm,
like that's where Glenn Powell is now.
right.
Because he's not necessarily hugely known, but he does a fantastic job and people enjoy watching him.
Right.
And then what was crazy to me about the trailer is because I'll be honest with you guys, I don't remember. I know I've seen it, but I think I was pretty young when I watched The Running Man and never watched it again. So I don't remember a lot about it. So the trailer was pleasantly surprising to me with just how much action and also how much humor was in there. And it felt very Edgar Wright. Um, Pretty obvious what the story is. Josh Brolin's voice immediately stuck out, like without question. But like what was crazy for me was I had to look up the cast later, and we got to see a lot of the cast in the trailer, but there were two people that I didn't see, and maybe you guys did, that I thought were a pretty cool surprise when I looked up the cast. Are Michael Cera and Sean Hayes are both going to be in this.
John Hayes.
Sean Hayes was Will and Grace, just Jack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So I mean, I think
Yeah, I haven't seen Michael Cera in a long time.
right. So I mean, like the cast isn't loaded, but like Coleman Domingo, the guy who's being the MC of the show, he looks really animated. He's super familiar, and just having all those other names attached, like Josh Brolin, like Michael Cera, stuff like that. Like the studio seems to put some money into this to line up a decent cast and spend some money on the script and the director and definitely the visuals on it. It looks great.
Sure.
So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, well, let's do our quick round here of what you watching because we've all got a show that we want to talk about. I think probably the most pertinent one, or maybe the most popular one, is the one that Eric has just finished, which is Ironheart, and he's the only one of the four of us right now that has completed the entire Ironheart series.
He really
Take it
wanted to
away.
subject it himself too much.
Take it
Yeah.
away, sir.
So wait,
Yeah,
the
well-
whole series is available now?
Yeah, they came out in 2 weeks, like the first three and then the second three.
Cool.
So yeah, when it after the first three, I kind of felt exactly what Alex was saying, was like I was just subjected to that. And I have to say the people who are like after the first three, they're like, this is so great. It's like you're just a shill. Like that was not great. The second three though, significantly better. Significantly better. So I feel like the first three was that they had to, check all kind of box. I mean, it broke a record of She-Hulk. She-Hulk had one episode where they race swapped 4 characters. This one they race swapped 7 in one episode, which is pretty impressive. But there was only 3 of them I had like an issue with, because that's the thing, is like I didn't have an issue with race swapping the Hood and his cousin, and Eric Andre's in it, no problem with that. It was the other ones that were just like kind of stereotypes. You had like a drag queen, so she could like clap her fingernails together and be sassy, and then they had the Blood Brothers, who now in this show were the blood siblings because they were like race and gender swapped, but not really gender swapped because one of them's a trans man. So it's like they just got it all. So it was like this clown car of identities, and it just didn't do anything for the story. And then after the first three, the last three were like, okay, now we're going to tell you the motivation of the hood. Now we're going to get involved in Riri Williams more, like the people you actually like care about, right?
Right.
And so it was significantly better in the second half because it was like it was more story driven. The first half seemed to be just like, look how super progressive we are. We have all these identities, and it's like, okay, I don't mind the hood. That dude is a great actor. Like
Right.
he's in Hamilton. I have zero doubt that dude they had this is what we want to do, and they got him because he's really good, right? No doubt that he got hired off of ability. The drag queen was literally it was their first acting job. So they didn't get hired because they're acting. They got hired because they were fulfilling insert box here. And that's the kind of stuff I think people have a problem with. They race swapped another character called Clown. Don't care. She was fine. Yeah, she was cool. So it's like it's like if you're doing it and you're actually getting good actors like the guy who
You're
did
talking
the
about
Hood.
so you're talking about race swapping from the comic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if you're getting people like the guy who played the Hood, zero problem. If you're getting Eric Andre, zero problem. It's when you're doing this other stuff like the Blood Brothers to the Blood Siblings, and the lesbian chicks are the muscle of the team. It's like, come on. You struck out twice. You struck out twice with that. Like for me, you know what I mean? Like you changed it, and then for me, you put the 150-pound women as the ass beaters. It's like, come on, stop it. But the second half, much better. I think people, was it perfect? No. Was there still kind of logical kind of holes in it and stuff like that? Sure. And you could talk about like
But is it worth watching? Is it like
I think I was asking my son, I said, is there a reason to watch the first three episodes, or can someone just watch the last three episodes? And there's a couple things in the first three that it would be nice to know in the second three, but I think the second three are worth watching for what it means in the future of the MCU,
hmm,
you know. So it's not something I can totally recommend, but at the same time, um it's not the worst thing that's ever happened in life, like you see
right.
you see it
High praise.
online where it's just like this is the worst show, and it's like it's not the worst show, stop.
Right. Right.
But also when you watch the first three and that came out on Tuesday and Wednesday, you were like, this is the best show ever. You're lying. It is not the best show. Stop it. Stop it, and you're the reason we can't have nice things.
Mm,
So it's somewhere in the middle, like most things, right? It's somewhere. It's not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. People need to like calm down. I think it's worth the watch if you really do. If you're a mark for MCU stuff. If you're not like a super mark for MCU stuff, yeah, you can probably. I guess you can skip it.
fair enough. All right. So I'm going to take a minute and talk about the show that I have watched that I don't think anybody else here has watched. I think maybe Alex has watched an episode or two. It's on Apple TV. It's called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
I'm like halfway done with it now.
Okay. So we just kind of, the wife and I watched it just kind of on a lark. We're like, oh, this might be cool. And it's a TV show that tries to tie together like the 2014 Godzilla, where the MonsterVerse started with Godzilla, and then like King Kong and Kong Island and Godzilla versus Kong and Kong X Godzilla. Like there was all these movies that came
Secret
out. Right?
Planet Dinosaurs.
Yeah,
movies.
Secret Planet, Kong. There was a whole bunch of like monster movies that came out over the last like 10 years, basically. And this show basically tries to weave them all together and does a pretty good job. It's interesting in that it has characters that I think are human and interesting. Kurt Russell is in it, and Kurt Russell's son is in it, who plays young Kurt Russell, which is great, right? Because I remember when I first saw Wyatt Russell as his son, I was
Right.
like, I was like, that kid looks like Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Well, turns out it's his son.
And that's U.S. Agent for anybody, any of the Marvel fans. That's U.S. Agent, the guy who plays in Thunderbolts.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought that they had some really cool visuals. I thought they did some really cool things, and they very neatly set it up for season 2, which my understanding is already finished filming. And they even have a couple of spin-off ideas on different things that they're going to do. So it'll be interesting to see if there are also going to be more Godzilla and Kong movies that come out as a result of the apparent success of Monarch. So if you're in the mood, if you like that kind of stuff, it's worth a watch. Alex, what have you been watching?
Well, actually, I was Joe recommended Mobland to me, and it was kind of like, now I'll say this, you know, I ran through the season in like a couple of days. I want to say 2 or 3 days. I ran through the whole season. I really couldn't stop watching it. So it's a really addictive, compelling show.
Wow.
But I do hate everyone in it. Yeah, it's just sort of like, I mean, if the best ending to the show would be a bomb hits where all these people are congregated and kills them all at once, and that would be the greatest gift to humanity, right? But that aside, you know, I don't know. Yeah, it's like it's weird to be so enthralled in a movie, in a TV show about such bad people, because it's sort of, you know, Guy Ritchie's take on The Sopranos a little bit, you know. So it's like, I don't know why it's so compelling when I dislike everybody so much, but it is, you know. And I ran through it and I watched the whole thing. I suppose it's just because of the talent involved, you know. It's like it's written really well, and everybody in it is great, and the way the plot threads are revealed is really compelling, and Pierce Brosnan is in it, which means, you know, I love Pierce Brosnan. I've had like a man crush on Pierce Brosnan since like the 80s, whenever I stayed home from school, they had reruns of Remington Steele on, you know, and I just like always liked Pierce Brosnan, as long as I can remember, and he plays an absolute shitbag in this show. And it's interesting to see him play that kind of horrible shitbag person. I mean, he is borderline psychotic, but yeah, I mean, you know, everybody on the screen is like that, except for Tom Hardy, who's kind of like the anchor of everything. But it's just like they all play it so well, you know. Pierce Brosnan is super compelling. Helen Mirren is like so hateable but watchable, you know.
I love Helen Mirren.
But so
you won't love her in this show.
Yeah, it's weird to hate all the characters so much. But still, I mean, I watched the entire show in a few days, so I don't quite know what that means, but and it has one character that's probably as hateable as Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
Wow.
I think that would be like a psychopath test, right?
Yeah.
You ended up watching the whole thing, even though you hate everybody.
So you have the Bastard's Dilemma, but the show, the quality is good enough to drag you over the finish line anyway. That's interesting. All right. And Bueller, you've watched.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be my show too, because I mean we're watching Yellowstone, but that's old. You know what I mean? It's 5 seasons and done, and we're only on season 2. But yeah, I watched Mulan before Alex did, and everything he said is right, dude.
You know, I never saw Yellowstone. What did you think of season 1?
I thought it was great. I mean,
really?
I'm really hooked. As far as the guy, and now I'm going to forget his damn name.
Cosner?
Taylor, whatever. The guy who's doing all these shows now.
Oh yeah, Sheridan or something.
Taylor Sheridan, thank you. Yeah, this was one of his better shows. Because I watched Landman. And, you know, I like Landman just because of Billy Bob Thornton.
Sure.
If it's not Billy Bob Thornton's character in Landman, that show sucks. I watched Tulsa King with Stallone, and even with Stallone, that show sucks. But I still watch it. Like, they're not, neither one of those shows are great by any means. They're both Taylor Sheridan movies, or shows. But Yellowstone, he knocked it out of the park with this one. He did a really good job. I think it's worth. And then I saw a clip from 1923 today, which is like a prequel.
The prequel, yeah.
Now I want to watch that because of the clip I saw. Like, this shit looks good, man. But back to
what is a girl's ass?
It was not a girl's ass.
Oh, because I would say they actually have like a fair amount of nudity in these 1883s and stuff like that, which is
well, I'm not
weird
gonna lie.
For like a network show.
The clip that I saw with 1923 was definitely an adult clip. It didn't show anything.
Right.
It had some adult themes to it. I'm like, what the fuck is this show? I gotta watch this.
Hmm.
I want to go back to Wyatt Russell real quick, only because recently I watched two movies. I watched Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, and I watched Terminator Genesis
Okay.
the other day too. And Jason Clarke is in both these movies. And I shit you not, dude, I had to get on my phone because I was like, there's no way Wyatt Russell is this old and is in these shows. Because Jason Clarke and Wyatt Russell look like they could absolutely be related.
Yeah, they do look
Without
similar.
question.
They
And
do.
I actually looked it up on Google just to see if anybody else made the comparison, and it's absolutely like it's a thing. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. But anyway, Mobland, Alex nailed everything. I didn't want to spoil anything because Alex was watching it, but now that he's seen it, there was a point in the show because you got two competing mob families, right? And this is not really a spoiler, but kind of a spoiler. You got two competing mob families, and there was a point in time where I was absolutely convinced that we were watching a show from the losing family's perspective because of how absolutely terrible all of these people are. I thought there's no way. These are people are all going to die. They all suck so much. And I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy when they all die. They are so bad that you actually root for the other crime family who also sucks.
100%.
Also terrible. But there's a
Wow.
point where you're rooting for the other crime family because
So why are you watching it then? What's the draw?
that's the draw. That's the draw. I wanted to see all of them die. And I still do. I still want to see all of them die.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
it's hard to say, point a finger at what exactly keeps you coming back when you dislike the characters so much. But I mean, it's well written. The plot threads unveil themselves. Like, everything is layered really well, and they unravel in really, really compelling way. So, scene by scene, you're never bored for a single second, really. Maybe
I thought it took like two episodes for it to get its legs. But after the first two episodes, I was invested, dude. I was invested. And man.
Yeah, I would say like after episode 2, I don't think there's a wasted moment in the show, as far as that goes. So, I mean, if anything else, it would be a really good study on how to make an effective plot unfold in a show, even because that must be the only reason I was compelled to watch it, because I didn't like anybody.
Right.
So I just must have been, the structure of the show must have been what, enthralled me so much to keep coming back. And hats off. Because I was like you, I was rooting for the other family. I'm like, boy, I hope they just chainsaw this whole entire family.
And the thing is, and Alex will agree with this too, is that like by episode 3, you already hate pretty much everybody, right? Like you hate them. They get worse every episode after that.
Wow.
They get so much worse.
I don't know who is this for? I don't know. You're not.
Yeah. I guess they try to make Tom Hardy the one that you kind of like, I guess, but because he's just sort of like mellow, but he's still like, he's still obviously a murderer. And so one thing I did hate about, dislike about the show and the structure is like I'm getting tired of these like mob shows or crime shows where it's like the wife marries into the mob and is upset that her husband is like busy killing people.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, you made into this and you wanted the apartment and you wanted the money, like the $30,000 a month apartment in Manhattan.
They don't want to see how the sausage is made.
And you wanted to drive these cars and like wear these clothes. But now you're like, oh, I'm mad because my husband stays out late at night. It's just like, stop it.
Killing people.
You did this. It's your fault.
I can tell you, Jewel, one of the reasons I was so compelled to keep watching is because by the time I started hating Helen Mirren's character, and we all enjoy Helen Mirren, for them to be able to write a character, for her to play so well that I actually actively hate her during the show, it got me invested in it because her acting ability and the character, the way it's written, is like, this is an actress that we've all liked for a very long time.
Right.
And so it's drawn me in because of how good she's doing and how well her character's written that I despise her.
Fascinating. That is fascinating.
I mean, same thing with Brosnan. Like his character is just like, I've never seen him play a character like that. And it's just, he does it so well. And it's like, that's interesting just to see Brosnan play a character like this. So
I agree, dude.
So maybe season 2, like kind of now that the Flash is gone, I won't be as compelled to watch it like I was this one, But for this one, I was into it from beginning to end. So
all right.
I guess I have to give it a thumbs up.
All right. if you're in the mood for some self-punishment, then Mobland is the way to go. Or apparently Ironheart, if you want to punish yourself in that other way. That's good. That's good stuff. All right. Anything else? Anybody got anything to add, or do you want to call it here? No? All good. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.